First time teaching in this particular studio. I have just arrived to my accommodation. So I've been trying to find a beach. It's no joke doing your body, so I'll just focus us a little bit better. So my name is Hannah. I am a Pilates teacher, I'm a Pilates teacher trainer, and I'm Pilates obsessed. This weekend I was in Sligo in Strand Hill teaching a Pilates teacher trainer course. I love watching other people's vlogs, so I wanted to add a bit more of this to my channel. I've never done a vlog before and I found it so challenging vlogging while also being so busy. I don't fully appreciate it until you start trying to do it yourself. Hopefully this form kind of works, and I'm open to any tips and tricks you'd like to share with me in the comments for future. I was in Sligo in a beautiful studio called Soul and Sand Studio. A lovely woman called Rachel owns and runs the place there, so I will link that. Also, just keep an eye out for future Pilates teacher training courses there as well. This was my first time teaching in this particular studio. There's always kind of new nerves with a new setting and a new group, in a good way, kind of like butterflies, but I do feel the pressure. The teachers that come out of the course are a very high standard. It's not my company. It belongs to a woman called Susan Church, and she's amazing at bringing people through workshops and courses, and she really inspires people and really creates very good quality trainers. So I felt the weight of that and the responsibility of that. I was prepping before I left. I was teaching the night before I left as well. It was just a very busy time. I was teaching until 8:30 and I got home. My main priority was being with my little pets, my two Maine Coons. I love them so much. Anyone who has pets or kids it's exactly the same thing. Just knows how hard it is to leave them. It breaks my heart. But yeah, I try to spend a little bit of time with them and just do their little treats and brush their fur and give them cuddles and all the things that they like before I left. Yeah, the guilt is horrible leaving. I had a little pet camera left on them so I can check in, and of course my partner was here minding them as well, which is lovely peace of mind. But they're imprinted on me. They're my little babies, my little pets, so they are always anxious when I'm away. Don't know if any of you experience this with your pets as well. Some pets are more chill than others, and that's great. There's pros and cons to having needy pets because it's so lovely to feel that love when you are there, but the guilt is horrendous when you leave. But one of them, my boy Maine Coon Joey, when I go he always throws up. So I know he's anxious, and it's just a horrible thing to know is going to happen. But anyways, I just try to give them as much love as I can. There's a flask of celery juice. There is 2 portions of a heavy metal detox smoothie. This is actually 2 turmeric shots and 2 lion's mane powder drinks. I just used bottles that I've used before. And some vitamins. I have to keep my immune system up. It is 11:30 p.m. I have just arrived to my accommodation in the countryside in Sligo. So it was about 2 hours and 10 minutes of a drive for me. It's very secluded. But I arrived in and locked the door, but there's all these like noises outside. So I hope it's just trees. I think it's just trees. But when you're staying somewhere on your own in the middle of nowhere, it's kind of creeping me out a little. So it is definitely time for me to hit the hay, get up early for this Pilates teacher training, and I shall take you with me. On day 1 of the course, I have a list of goals, a list of outcomes, things we want to achieve by the end of the day. You're confronted with a room of faces. Everyone's new and everyone's new to each other. So there's that setting of needing an icebreaker, needing everyone to kind of feel comfortable. So there's those responsibilities as well as information we have to get through and the goals that we want to achieve. Hello. So everyone has just gone off to get their lunch. So this morning we went through the bony landmarks in the body, specifically at the front of the body. So just teaching our students how to find a neutral spine. There's so much information. We're definitely a little bit overloaded. It's no joke doing your Pilates teacher training, but in a great way. When they come back from their break, we're going to go over Pilates breathing. So I've left a band out on everyone's mat. Ooh, nearly fell over. So I've placed bands on everyone's mat, so there'll be a lovely tactile feedback for the Pilates breathing principles. I'm going to place bolsters out on every mat, so again they have this feedback from the bolster to help them to access that lateral breath. The detail there, you'll have to sign up to the course to get the rest of it. It was a great mix this time. So there's yoga teachers, an aerialist, physios, sports therapists, a dietitian. So there's only 2 people this time that didn't have a background in movement, and that's quite common. Usually the majority of people will have a background, but it's really common that 2, 4 or 6 people may have no background in it. And there isn't really a common thread to say that the people who have the background do better in the course than the people who don't. People who are really, really good at another discipline, while there's crossover, you kind of have to just open up your mind again. So it's challenging both ways. It just depends on the people. So I never worry when somebody is there and doesn't have a background, even though I can notice a lot of the time that they're worried. And I never worry if someone has loads and loads of experience. They wouldn't be there if they knew this work, these manuals. There's a lot of psychology circulating around a room like that. And the best advice I got when I was nervous about becoming a teacher trainer was just that I can help. I know the manual. I know lots about Pilates practice. That always helps me to settle in. I always love the faces, the personalities, the experience behind everyone and everything, and watching the personalities mesh and seeing friendships form as well. It's really lovely. It's a very nurturing environment, and that has always been my experience for 10 years. It's nurturing and it's lovely, and I just love it. It's something to look forward to. It's something that's uplifting to everyone. While there's nerves to do with exams and the amount we have to learn, overall it's really empowering, and I just love the courses, and the feedback is that people love them too. So on day 1, obviously we had to talk about what makes Pilates Pilates. We spoke about Joseph Pilates, about where Pilates came from, the intentions of Pilates, and it's great to have that. On the first day, people are really thrown right in. Observe and cue and help people into the right position. We spoke about the Pilates principles, how they relate to exercises. We keep relating back to the Pilates principles, keeping the work right inside the heart of Pilates. So I was demoing a lot on the first day, as it's a lot of information. Again, as this is my first vlog, I'm not really sure how interesting it is to talk through the goals of each day. I hope it works. I hope it's informative in the right way and not just me waffling. So I've been trying to find a beach. So I found a nice pier. It's as though the waves might come over the pier, so I might get lost quite soon. I'm staying in Dromore West, but the Pilates studio is in Strand Hill, so it's an absolute trek. It's kind of 40 minutes, but the roads are so narrow that it just takes forever to get here, so I'll have to leave a bit earlier in the morning. I have maybe 20 minutes of prep to do for tomorrow. These are naked bakes. They're plant-based. I just love them so much. So on day 2, while people are noticeably overloaded from day 1, there is this sense of, I want to sink my teeth into this subject matter. People come in enthusiastic and kind of ready, where the first day it's the unknown, there's a bit more nerves. So I love day 2 because even if it is new and it does take a lot longer than one day to digest and learn and obviously be able to apply everything that we learned, on day 2 we can chat a bit more. If they can't do that, feet are on the ground and then they're doing the 100 until that gets strong enough for them to manage the weight of the legs. And they can still challenge serratus anterior, the rotator cuff stabilizing, the oblique connection with the rib cage movement. So the why for the modifications, if the feet are on the mat, because when they did 100, they weren't stable, lumbopelvic core. If you're modifying, the head is not moving. So you're modifying because they're trying to reach a goal, not just because we're not sure what to do with them. There's always a why and an intention behind it. Progressions, if their 100 is stable and they don't need to modify, you want to add that weight to the legs. So if their pelvis is neutral, you don't just have the whole class modifying, if progress is motivation. So let's take turns teaching the 100. Then on day 2, we want to go deeper. So we're getting our heads around the position that we want the bones to be in to access the muscles that we want to access in a certain way. So we talk about the core muscles and also the powerhouse and the difference between both. And again, all of this information would take a long time to explain, so it's part of the course if you are interested. On day 2 as well, we really want to be able to communicate the imagery as well as the anatomical setup. So I was getting us to work in groups, and I'd assign some people to set their partner up using just the anatomy and then swap, and the other person would use just the imagery. So they got to hear both and kind of get their heads around both and discuss both. So there's so much to get through on day 1 and day 2 as well. But yeah, again, we're making really, really good teachers. So look out for your PTTI teachers. So on day 3, friendships have formed. Again, we all have our Pilates minds switched on. We're on the Pilates level. We're chatting in that world, which is so lovely. There are nerves that come in again on day 3, which is interesting for me to observe. I think it's because day 1, the nerves are there for obvious reasons. Day 2, we settle in a little bit. And day 3, people feel the weight of, oh, I'm about to be left off on my own, because the rest of the course is online and through video. And while some people would book me or other tutors for more in-person one-to-one, for the most part for the group, the rest of it is going to be online, including exams. Everyone's trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's and get all the questions out, but our minds are also overloaded and our bodies are also a little bit tired, because we're doing Pilates classes each day as well, and we're teaching each other and getting that balance right, because people have commitments outside of that, and I never take for granted how hard it was for some people to be there. It has to be sensitive enough, it has to be assertive enough, it has to be inspiring enough, it has to be gentle enough to not be completely overwhelming, and creating the best instructors that we possibly can. I absolutely loved this group. I pretty much say it after every group. I think just that I love them. They're such a great group. They're the best group ever. I think that every time, but genuinely in the moment, I usually do think that. They're just a lovely experience. And because I only do teacher trainings a few times a year, it's nice to soak it up and lap it up and get the most out of it. I hope you've enjoyed a little look behind the curtain at the Pilates teacher training and this type of a vlog. I'll have to refine my vlogging skills, so please do communicate tips and tricks or questions or things you'd like to see in future. But yeah, hopefully you got a lot out of this. Maybe I kept you company while you had your breakfast. I usually watch vlogs while I'm eating my breakfast. Thank you so much for being here and watching the video. Send it on to someone who you think would make an excellent Pilates instructor. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe and comment, because it helps this channel, which I would love. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for everything. No.